Hey, Sound Up fans, it's Mark Goodman here. To stay connected to everything happening in the world of music, make sure to subscribe to this podcast, Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light. Join the conversations, experience live events, and be a part of the podcast. To get in on the action, check out our website at sounduppod.com. Like and follow us on social media at sounduppod and email us at connect@sounduppod.com.
This is Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters.
Hey, I'm Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
This week on Sound Up, Grace Potter joins us to discuss her brand new yet not so new release, the T-Bone Burnett-produced album Medicine.
And in music news, Nick Jonas, yes, Jonas' brother Nick Jonas, is set to play Paul Stanley in the long-awaited Kiss biopic Shout It Out Loud.
All right!
And we need Roger Coletti's comments on this bit of casting news.
I have notes.
Lots of David Byrne news this week as he joined Olivia Rodrigo during her headlining slot at GovBall this weekend. And the Talking Heads put out a brand new video for Psycho Killer to honor their 50th anniversary. And we have new David Byrne music for the first time in a whole bunch of years.
Wow.
So lots happening out of the David Byrne camp.
Man, we do have our new music picks, as always. A Sound Up Pod Squad question pitting Benson Boone against Harry Styles. That and so much more.
Let us see what our listeners are up to this week. That's
indeed
intriguing. So, real quick, I stopped by a couple of shows this week that I should just mention for everybody. And it does seem, like I said, it's my summer of seeing very, very old men playing. I got to make sure I put in early for those Sabrina Carpenter tickets in the fall so that I don't just feel like it's only 80-year-olds all the time. But a couple of stops over the past week. I think I've mentioned before that Greg Williamson and Nicole Rector, the team behind the Love Rocks shows that happen annually at the Beacon, the Benefits for God's Love We Deliver, also do a series of smaller benefit charity shows through the year, more or less every month or 6 weeks or so. And last week did one of these Soho Sessions shows with Nile Rodgers and Chic, playing for a invited and or audience of contributors of I don't know how many people they put in there, 150 people maybe or so, tiny little room. A lot of music, a lot of musicians for a tiny room with 150 people in it to hear Nile and the Chic organization
almost as many on stage
do their thing. But I know I think you mentioned that they're going to be playing your 80s cruise next week. Is that next year? Not next week, but yeah.
It's going to be, it'll be in March, the first week of March. We're doing something that we've never done with Chic headlining. It's the 80s cruise Rocks the Dock. We're going to be on land for them.
And I think we've, over the years, mentioned them, but I don't know who was up there playing with Nile. I don't know who these musicians are. They sound great.
Right.
They can totally deliver that stuff. And I just kept, it's like when Prince used to play and then late in the show, he'd start saying, too many hits.
Right.
And that's what it's like to hear the Nile Rodgers. That's the Nile Rodgers thing too, between all the Chic songs,
right,
and then doing all of the Nile productions and doing the Madonna songs and the Bowie songs and the Sister Sledge songs and
it's insane.
Everything else. It's just a run. It's just a streak of smashes that everybody can sing every word to.
You remember when we went to see them opening for Duran Duran, and we were like, they're going to come on after that?
Yeah, you got to follow that. So anyway, that was very fun. And then I guess the next night went to Irving Plaza to see the Doobie Brothers. Yes, those Doobie Brothers play basically an album release party. Their new album, Walk the Road, came out on Friday, and they played for 1,500 people or so in Irving Plaza, I guess is the room. And gotta say, sounded pretty great. They look good. They look really good for being, aging Doobie Brothers. Like everybody's in good shape. Everybody's got their hair. Everybody, it's like, they look good up there. It's four of the originals, four of the old school Doobies. It's Michael McDonald, Pat Simmons, Tom Johnston, John McPhee from the early
Original.
Doobie Brothers.
Right.
And some other great players. Mark Quinones, who was the percussionist in the later years Allman Brothers band, is the percussionist for these guys. So, that's sort of cool. And sounded really good. Played some of the stuff from the new album. I have to give it my wife pulling off her. We basically went at her insistence.
And I thought she was a jazz lady.
She then got hung up and got there late. And getting there late meant Suzanne walked in and then heard them play like the 10 biggest hits in their catalog one after another. The second half of a Doobie Brothers set was, that is to say, China Grove, Blackwater, Listen to Music, reeling them off one after another. But fun show, both of those. Again, too many hits. These are bands that can rack them up and knock them back, and every damn one of them.
It's great. That's fantastic. And what the hell? I mean, we're talking about David Byrne and Talking Heads, 50 years of Talking Heads. It's their anniversary this year. The Doobs, I want to say it's close. It may be older, actually. I was listening to the Doobies in college.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
The first iteration of the Doobie Brothers has to go back to pushing 1970 for sure. So, so those were the stops.
1970.
1970.
Yeah.
There you go. So those were the stops from it. So that means it's their 55th.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the anniversary gift for a 55th is, but it's a landmark of a sort.
Did you bootleg the show, Alan?
Everybody was texting me either which doobie you be or
right, of course.
Make sure they don't catch the cassette recorder in your coat. That was what every single response to me posting the photo was.
So wait, forgive me, but what's
happening?
What's happening? Okay, I was trying to remember which series it was.
It was Rerun. Rerun had
Rerun, exactly right.
Fred Berry.
Great moments in television history.
All right, I'm glad you got to some live music. We're going to jump into some big news. If you have been with us since the top of the show, the big news. Nick Jonas is playing Paul Stanley. Yes, that is the truth. He has been cast to play Paul Stanley in the biopic called Shout It Out Loud. He is, according to, this is just before the weekend, close on the deal to star as Paul in Shout It Out Loud. It is a McG directed film. Guy's got a hell of a track record. It's about the formation of the venerable hard rock band in the 70s, and the film will go into production at the end of the year or early 26 with STX fully financing the most recent draft by a guy named Darren Lemke. Previous drafts done by other writers well known in the biz, I'm guessing, William Herron, Ole Sandals. I'm told that Jonas will do his own singing. So he's got to work on that. His voice is nothing like Paul Stanley's voice. Wow. He's got to work on the shriek. He's going to need time to replicate the jet engine vocals, according to Deadline, of Paul Stanley. Besides headlining in the sibling band, the Jonas Brothers, Jonas has also proven his chops on screen. His rise began with the 2016 toxic masculinity hazing drama, GOAT. He's shown in the MMA series Kingdom as a young gay man who grows up in a family of fighters and has to hide his sexuality from a domineering father.
So I've got to defer all thoughts on this, all analysis over to the KISS Bureau and in Roger Coletti, in the Roger Coletti studio. What was your thoughts on the Nick Jonas as Paul Stanley news?
I actually really like this a lot for a couple of
reasons.
Is
that right?
Yeah, I do. A couple of reasons. One is, here's a guy who knows how to work a stage. Obviously, you need someone who can pull off the attitude, the cockiness, all of the things that come with being a front man. And he, I think, can do it. No problem. He's got a great voice. And I'm sure he can, adapt his voice to Paul Stanley's singing style. And it's a Jonas brother. I think when you're a KISS fan and you see a project like this coming out, the fact that they're attaching names to it that are going to bring a different generation to the table to see this, to experience it, to understand the story, that's what really excites me about Nick Jonas as being cast. There's, you've got 5 major people you need to cast. You need to cast the 4 original members. And in my opinion, you need to cast manager Bill Aucoin. Those are the people that really need to be cast for this movie. And so far, I think that's a great casting. If they say that they're rounding out the casting with the rest of the Jonas Brothers, then I might have a little bit of an issue.
But you're saying it's an actual performer. It's an actual somebody who knows how to be on a stage, and that's they gotta convey that.
The question is, can he do it in giant platforms?
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. But I'm excited for this, and I think he's got the right look for it. And it's maybe not the obvious thing people would think of, but once again, you need someone who's very well-rounded, very stage ready. He's got acting chops, so I think it's a good choice.
To a certain extent, don't you think? In the same way that Timothée Chalamet did Dylan, he didn't sing just like Bob Dylan, but he did what he did. He leaned in that direction, so it sounded genuine but not forced.
That's the other thing too. This could lead to an entirely new interpretation of Kiss songs and a soundtrack to follow this thing with, Nick Jonas singing Love Gun and Detroit Rock City. And once again, introducing these songs to a whole new generation, which I think is really cool.
For sure.
All right.
All right.
Didn't know which way he was going to take
right.
this.
I thought he was going to give it a big thumbs down. That was my guess. Okay.
Very good. Open-minded. Right. So as mentioned before, lots of news out of Talking Heads world, of all things, this week. First was they posted a little teaser to their socials, sort of a countdown to last, whichever day it was, the 5th, which was the 50th anniversary of their first performance at CBGB. And with a little clip that, with no other information, people started going nuts, assuming that this was the announcement of a reunion or a tour or something. It was not any of those things. And they pretty quickly got up the next day to explain what it was, I think, because they felt like, oops, that people didn't get excited the way that we thought they were going to get excited. So in fact, what came out on there to commemorate their 50th anniversary as a band in New York City was, for the first time, an official music video for Psycho Killer, directed by filmmaker Mike Mills and starring Saoirse Ronan. The band, no members of the band appear in this clip. It is essentially a chronicle of suburban office worker Saoirse Ronan sort of gradually breaking down and falling apart over the course of days, weeks, months of the drudgery of her routine. But it's all left implied. There is no psycho killing going on. There is nothing that sees her fully over the edge into wherever it may lead that the song takes us. So that's the,
thank God.
On there. Yes. You don't need to see a murderous spree from Saoirse Ronan.
I think the video is really great, by the way.
Yeah,
it is.
It not only is it really great, but it really got me thinking about, could this become a trend of directors going in and creating videos for songs that never had videos and reintroducing them to a whole new generation? It's really, it really made you look at the song differently, listen to it differently. I'm really excited to see if other people start doing this.
I wish that they hadn't quite teed it up the way that they did, because it was such a head fake. Everybody instantly went all the way to the most extreme version of what a Talking Heads announcement could be, which I felt like kind of took there was disappointment of, oh, it's only this, when in fact this clip is kind of cool to sit down and watch.
For sure. And also in the world of David Byrne, he was on stage this past weekend at Gov Ball with a girl who was probably, 20 years away from being born when Psycho Killer came out.
Oh, yeah. No, there was never a world in which Olivia Rodrigo and the Talking Heads coexisted.
So David Byrne on stage with second night headliner at Gov Ball, Olivia Rodrigo, and doing another massive hit of theirs, Burning Down the House.
It's so great.
I don't know, Alan, do you have any backstory on this? I don't know why or how it happened, and the story doesn't really make it clear.
I don't know. I haven't read anything about what the negotiations were for this. Olivia, God love, she continues to do everything right. Love this girl so much, and has worn her old school rock, new wave punk, like those inspirations she's talked about a lot, worn on her sleeve a lot. There were the photos of her with Jack White saying that was her hero growing up. Like she It certainly has a relationship to this stuff. I don't know what the details of navigating this and bringing David Byrne out, but the clip is so damn much fun.
It is. It's to see the
them
two
doing
of them cavorting.
Yes, cavorting is right.
Cavorting, and they rehearsed. They had
Clearly
synchronized dancers. They're dressed alike. They were the same colors. It's
Same colors.
Really, really. This was not like a half-ass. Oh, just join me on stage.
No. They had worked this out, and and we know how David Byrne comes alive on a stage, and comes to meet a moment. And this one is super fun and conveniently timed, because also. I think by the time this podcast will be posted and people who are listening to this, there will be the first new David Byrne studio music in 7 years. He hasn't given the full details, but has indicated that his first album since the American Utopia album, which preceded the American Utopia tour and then the Broadway run and the HBO special, all of that, will be coming out later this year. And a first song called Everybody Laughs is coming out on this Tuesday, the day that you'll hopefully be listening to this podcast, or within a few days. We don't know much. Kid Harpoon is the producer on this album, who has had huge hits working with Harry Styles, working with Miley Cyrus, and working with David on this new album. So in addition to a look back to early Talking Heads, a Talking Head song performed with young superstar Olivia Rodrigo, now there will be new music from David Byrne for the first time in a long time coming out, and then an album to follow. So lots happening.
definitely looking forward to more from David Byrne.
And then real quick, just wanted to mention while we're talking about sit-ins over the weekend, if you happen to notice, Bruce Springsteen played in Liverpool over the weekend for the first time ever, I think.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it was the first time ever playing in Liverpool. And there were a few interesting things. He visited it's LIPA. I don't know what it stands for. Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts, I believe, the music school that Paul McCartney has backed and funded in Liverpool. He and Sir Paul just dropped by and visited with some students. There were those photos of them hanging around the schoolyard. And then McCartney joined Bruce on stage in Liverpool. They sang Can't Buy Me Love and Kansas City. Interesting selections from the Beatles songbook to perform together. Also, Max Weinberg went and sat in at the Cavern Club while they were in Liverpool. I saw that. So they were taking full advantage of the Beatle heritage.
Max is, you probably know this, Alan, is a massive Ringo fan specifically, and has sung his praises for years. When people were slagging Ringo off, Max was the guy who was like, this guy's an incredible drummer. You got to pay more attention. That's really cool. And I'm going in a couple of weeks. I'm going to be seeing Bruce in Italy. And I think that I'm going to be able to get a chance to talk with him and little Steven. And I got to find out about that. What the hell? How they haven't been in Liverpool, for one thing. How did it take that long? And him and Paul working together?
They've shown up on. I saw Bruce come out and sing at a Paul show at the Garden a few years ago. It's certainly not the first time that one has, showed up on stage and jumped on with the other. But doing that in Liverpool's got to be a certain sort of a thing.
Question is, what special guest are you going to get in Italy, Mark?
I'm wondering.
Bocelli?
I'm wondering.
Or Måneskin. That's about it.
Måneskin. Well, I'm seeing the second of two nights. And
which city?
In Milan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's playing there the 1st and the 3rd of July in Milan. So I'll see if I can phone in a review.
Yeah, we'll love to get the report.
Yeah. Finally, we should mention the passing of a legend, Rick Derringer, singer of Hang On Sloopy, writer of Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo, and I didn't realize this, a Real American wrestling theme, Hulk Hogan's theme, passed at 77 years old. 6 decades, starting off in the 60s with Hang On Sloopy, A 70s solo hit with Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. These are signposts in rock and roll in these decades. Session work, we know from Steely Dan, he played on a bunch of their records. Barbra Streisand, he's been a writer, a producer. I had no idea about the association with wrestling.
And the production work for Weird Al Yankovic.
Weird Al too. He worked on his first record, and I think he contributed to a bunch after that as well.
Yeah, and he's played on Kiss records. He's played with Cyndi Lauper.
Right, he worked on several songs on her debut solo. Yeah, for sure. So at 77, which to me seems young these days, but I guess we adjust our take on what old is. But cause of death not announced. He had been in ill health in recent months, but passed just before the weekend.
Hang on, Sloopy. The unofficial, recognized as the official rock song of the state of Ohio.
Did you know that?
I do. Well, I remember when it was being talked about. I don't remember if it had actually happened, because you hear these things that they're talking about, Roadrunner for Massachusetts, right, or whatever it is. But I guess in 1985, it was actually named the official state rock song in Ohio, regular at Ohio State football games, that we know. But yeah, from working with Edgar Winter on Frankenstein,
right,
as you said, a bunch of Steely Dan work. Todd Rundgren played on the Meatloaf.
Oh, yes.
The Steinman sessions for Meatloaf, on Total Eclipse of the Heart, on Making Love Out of Nothing at All by Air Supply. It's a lot of credits.
Yeah, for sure. I'm glad that they laid all of this out as he passed, because he was contributing a lot longer than a lot of people thought that he was. Certainly, like I said, working with wrestling, that's news to me. So he will be missed. He will be missed. All right. That's a fast look at some music news. You need to stay right where you are. In just moments, we will be joined by Grace Potter. Welcome back to Sound Up. As promised, a very special guest joining us. Grace Potter has released 4 albums with the Nocturnals, the band she formed in 2002. That band broke up in 2015 after she and bandmate Matt Burr divorced. She's released 5 solo albums as well. She's received multiple Grammy nominations. Her collaboration on the song Wild Child on Kenny Chesney's album The Big Revival garnered award nominations from the Academy of Country Music, CMT Music, and the CMA. She's toured with the Dave Matthews Band, the Black Crowes, the Stones. She's even sung Gimme Shelter with the Rolling Stones, taking Mary Clayton's part. Gutsy. In 2008, after her second album with the Nocturnals, This Is Somewhere, she went back in the studio for another solo album, this time produced by T-Bone Burnett. And that album, called Medicine, as proud as she was of it, was never released. That is, until now. We're going to welcome Grace Potter here to Sound Up. Let's talk about the medicine. You talked about a bunch of things about this. The first song, let's talk about the first songs, among the first songs you recorded for it, Before the Sky Falls. It opens the album.
Yeah.
And you said sets the tone for the rest of those sessions on this album. How so?
Well, when you go into the studio, you never know what you're going to get. And for a young person like me coming into that situation, it could have been a very intimidating moment. It could have been, oh my God, look at these bigwigs. You got Jim Keltner on the drums. You got Mark Ribot on guitar, Dennis Crouch playing this amazing upright bass, and this amazing guy named Kifis Sianka, who brought literally a mad scientist lab worth of keyboards in. But instead of being intimidated, what they did for me, and I think what we all brought to the table, was a curiosity and a wandering. T-Bone very much said, let's just wander into this. Let's just kind of wander. He invited it to become kind of an invocation. He was like, let's not just all start playing right away. Maybe let Kifis kind of do some crazy stuff on that weird keyboard of his. And then each of you will just kind of wander in when you're ready. And even when you listen to the track, it takes a hot second to get into it. The intro is quite long. And I didn't want to sing yet. I just was enjoying listening. That's what I mean by set the tone, is that I learned how to listen that day in a way that I never had before.
So just I realize this could now be, here, Grace, take the whole rest of the show to do this, but we'll do it abbreviated. Walk us through what happened with this project. You made this record, you finished this record, you're working, as you said, with extraordinary musicians, T-Bone coming off of winning the Grammy for the Robert Plant and Alison Krauss record.
Right.
And this gets put on the shelf. So what happened?
It's so funny because the question of what happened is hard to answer for a few reasons. I don't have anybody to protect. I don't have any like weird demons in the closet that you're going to pull out of me podcast style, like a true crime, But what really it is that it was complicated, and it was based around the investments in energetic investments, but also financial investments made in me that I think were angling to serve me up on a platter to the world, not to a niche audience. And they were concerned, and this was certainly nothing to do with me because I was so excited. As far as I knew, T-Bone and Burnett records are hit records to me. So I'm like, what's the argument? But I think there was some real crafting of my whole arc of my career. And there's sort of an order in which things are supposed to happen. And it's like the T-Bone thing just happened a little too soon, maybe. Because it was what, movie studios would refer to as their prestige films. Right. The ones that they don't expect to necessarily be on every billboard across town, but that the people who know and really get it are going to love it.
But at this point, they're looking to you for blockbusters. They're not looking at you for the art movie. Yeah.
No, exactly. Of course, I'd been trying to make an art movie the whole time. So I think there was just a communication breakdown in some ways, but also there was no stopping it because with T-Bone, certainly it's not like he's going to let a bunch of A&R people be in the room picking it apart, which would have been a nightmare anyways. That would have made a really bad record that I wouldn't have wanted to share with the world. But what's so crazy about this one is how good, in my opinion, how good this record is and how it has sat in the shadows for this long. When really it's unarguable that it's the kind of music people are going to want to listen to. It's not like maybe not. It's like, oh, hell yes.
But connected sort of to the side of that is what did it do then and moving forward with the dynamic with the band? That's the other thing. The band didn't want me to make a record by myself. And I wanted to make a solo record for a long time. And I think that the ins and outs of our band was another piece of the complicated story. Because being in a band, especially at the time when it was more of a democracy, was becoming harder and harder as we were wandering into these waters of success. It's the story of a mid-level band struggling in the harsh face of stardom. It was exactly that in the scene at Almost Famous, where I think there was a lot of egos and there was a lot of expectations and need for validation that were being thrown around. And for the T-Bone record and this opportunity to come up in that moment of insecurity for our band brought out all the demons. And it was really uncomfortable for the band to hear that I was going to go off and make this record. As far as they were concerned, that was goodbye. And I didn't want that. I really didn't. So it was this double-edged sword where I made the record I knew I had to make, but I also was kind of delighted that they were going to get a chance to re-record these songs with me because, again, it brought me back to that beautiful, that loyalty that I felt for my band at the time, and ultimately didn't totally pan out the way I thought that loyalty would. But that's another podcast.
I wondered, I'm with Alan on that. I kind of wondered what it is, what happened in those sessions, as you say, that really kind of life-changing for you. What was it that you brought along with you from those as moving forward with your band and with your solo work going forward?
Well, that's a great question. And no one's actually asked me in that way. It's what I have referred to in the past, but I'm not going to do that because I want to give you guys some new content here. I want to get real creative about
It's all about the new content,
They're going to run it through the AI. The same phrases are going to come up.
Hey, Chat GP right here, baby. No, I don't use any AI for many words. I have plenty of words I can think of all by myself. Thank you very much. I learned how to listen, picking up where we left off. Like I learned how to listen. And I think that when I was in the band, we were teenagers. We were puppies when we started this band. So there was a lot of that, just like, I'm going to play. Now I'm going to play. I'm going to play. And I want to play the same thing you're playing, but louder. And that's the milk and cookies of the whole thing, was that I really felt like everything was getting louder and louder and louder around me with my band. especially as we played bigger and bigger shows, and we're playing Bonnaroo and, Lollapalooza, and like all these great opportunities were coming our way. And the band was getting considerably louder. So getting into the studio and having these musicians just creep in under me in this way that I think shows an incredible intuition and a musicality. And also, again, that curiosity that I really did want to have the whole record feel like a question almost. It's just this simmering. It's not this big, like, bam, here we are world, billboard. It creeps up under you. It grows around you like a garden.
Were you improvising lyrics too?
No, I had those all set out
Okay.
back then. I do that now for Mother Road, for my record that I made when I just didn't actually have the songs written, but the studio guys were there, so I had to figure it out. But no, I did have all the lyrics pretty well laid out. T-Bone really worked hard with me. We were very close in the edit room. I think before getting into production, there was a lot of planning. He had me co-writing with this amazing songwriter, David Poe. He really loved the songs that I had put together with Mark Batson. And so there was a lot of support coming from him, encouraging me to keep going, also encouraging me to write on my own. I think he was, he wasn't like, oh, we're going to fix your songwriting problems with a co-writer. It was like, you have really great ideas. I just don't know if you actually know how to finish them. So here's a person that's going to help you like get it done. But ultimately that process was the studio was mostly about the masterclass of how to be comfortable in trusting the people in the studio with you and truly taking that dive and free falling backwards into their arms.
I don't want to say in the defense of, because it's not a defense thing, but,
Yeah.
in the way that it played out, the album that you then went back in and made with the band did do really well.
Yes.
Was a top 20 album.
Arguably the
It was a
best
top
record.
20 album.
Yeah.
Those versions of some of these songs of Medicine, of Paris, Goodbye Kiss became
banging.
signature songs
Yeah.
for you that are still highlights of the show, center of the show. Could you
Yeah.
easily shift into that relationship with them of like, okay, this is what these songs are going to be?
Yes.
Was that a complicated thing
Yeah.
to navigate, or were you able to switch lanes and
No. Yeah, I loved my band. And I was, like I said, I was excited to let's get back together again. Come on. No hard feelings, peeps, And we had 2 new members. We had Catherine Popper, formerly of Ryan Adams and the Cardinals, and now she plays with Nora Jones with Puss in Boots and many other gigs. And Benny Yurko, who had been in the Blues and Lasers side project that all of the Nocturnals were in when I wasn't touring, And Benny was these 2 fresh members really brought so much to the table that it felt like a new band all over again. It was a really, really energetic time. And I think that Mark Batson, being the guy who he is, it's just so much fun in the studio. He brought in a fucking snake, a python snake into the studio with a belly dancer when we were a little low energy one day. And he was like, all right, you guys are going to track and she's going to dance along to it. You watch her. Don't think about what it's supposed to be. Just play and watch her. And I think it really was that level of experimentation that made me, I was a young musician, and basically every time you have a new idea, it's the best idea when you're young, and these creative things just sort of flow through you. And honestly, the T-Bone record just kind of got left in the dust, not by no fault of any one particular person. I don't think there was any evil forces trying to keep it down. It was really a question of when is Grace going to actually point her attention back to something that we think is important with the patience and time that it requires. And I'm not really one to look back often. So ultimately, the reason why it took so long is because I haven't actually stopped since then.
So why now? I mean, did you wake up one day and just go, hey, what about the T-Bone record? Or did you feel like you needed to be at a certain place before it was the right time to put it out there? Or what? Why are we getting it in 2025?
Alan, it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's some maturity that had to happen. There's some water under the bridge. I also really wanted to give that record a bunch of space so that when I heard it, I could really see it as a listener. Like I could hear it as a listener and see it as someone who's looking back at an artist as if I, 25-year-old Grace Potter, maybe whatever I didn't know kind of went away. I didn't have any of this oh, let me help her. I know what to do now. I don't know what to do now. I have no idea other than the fact that it felt like a crime to not put this thing out, So I think that the time, with anything, when you look back at a relationship, I think it was, oh God, was it Joe Walsh who said in that Eagles documentary that, when it's happening, it all feels so chaotic. But then when you look back on it, it's like a fucking masterpiece. That when you're in the middle of all the brushstrokes that are happening, it just seems like you can't believe it's all coming to pass the way that it is. And then there's just so much perspective that you can get with time. And I needed that perspective for sure. And I needed some space away from like the pain and drama of losing my band. That was a really hard thing for me. And the T-Bone record almost felt like a little bit of a thorn in the side of that. There was some definite cause and effect going on based on the project, but I certainly wasn't angry or scared about putting the record out. It was mostly that I like moving forward. I love forward momentum. And going into like the archives and putting out something from yesteryear, I was concerned that it would, it would make it seem like I'm already looking back. It's like when, Mariah Carey put out her greatest hits record like 4 years after her debut, It's like, I didn't want to do that. And I really didn't want it to be archival. I think that was the big thing, is that I didn't want this to come across like a looking back on those great old days when I had my tape machine and, and I think what's so interesting in my exchange with T-Bone about finally putting the record out is that we both had the same experience listening to it after giving it 15, 16 years of space. We both were just like, this thing sounds new. It sounds fresh. A lot of people who don't know the backstory of Medicine have been coming up to me and being like, this is so amazing. I'm so glad you finally got in the studio with T-Bone. I think that's a testament to just how timeless and truly devoted this record was to sounding timeless and finding no space in time. There is no one point in the calendar in which this album had to happen. And now it feels right.
You mentioned, that you needed some perspective. You needed some time, and I can certainly understand that. In addition to that, just in general, in life for artists, you've been through some shit. You got divorced, you got married, you're a mom.
Yeah.
Is that playing into who you are now? It must be.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm no smarty pants, but I do feel like wisdom comes, like what Tina Turner said. She's like, some potatoes boil slowly, some fry up real quick. But at the end of the day, your life is a whole plate of breakfast. And I'm like, okay, so where's the potato? Which potato am I? But she just, I really do believe, and this was all in reference to the fact that when she had her big, just, I don't know what we call now a glow up in her mid 50s, that she didn't need to explain herself because she worked her fucking ass off the whole time. And I feel the same way. I never stopped. I really never stopped. I think putting a bookmark in the book I have been working on, which is essentially Mother Road and Beyond. It's a long and beautiful road. I can't wait to keep going on. But it was almost like this record was a piece of lost luggage just circling the carousel from the beginning of the movie, and why not just see what's in it, like what's that show, those American Pickers, the ones that go into the storage units and see what they can find,
right?
I love that. I think that T-Bone and I both felt that way about it. Like, it's such a pleasure to crack open something and find such a fresh and untainted memory,
So asking on another project, you mentioned Mother Road and Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much since you put out Mother Road, you've been talking about the movie vision for what you want to bring this thing into. Is this is there an actual based on, inspired by the album, the songs, the moment, like specific project that you're chasing? And what is that a thing that's what's doing?
I am currently in talks with folks about developing this storyline, which started with the road trips. So the road trips across the country, I wasn't actually writing songs for Mother Road at the beginning. I was location scouting for what I believed to be the most devastating recollection of my own like imaginary friends, because as I went through the road trip, and you go a little nuts when you're on the road talking to yourself, I realized that I'm either going to go crazy or I'm going to turn this into a movie. And so I started working on the script and, you know, logging locations and truly just laying out what I believe is, I think, a piece of my echo chamber in my mind the whole time, but I needed to make them into characters so that I didn't drive myself completely nuts, because I was really pretty messed up during COVID. I had a very mild case, and I had never had this before, but is it called situational depression? I think there's a word for it. I can't remember the diagnosis I got, but I certainly didn't want to take any meds or go deep down some weird, you know, like go to rehab because I'm hearing voices, but I always have. So this is a real part of my songwriting. Whenever I'm singing about an old lady, it's this one woman. And it's my probably elder self, but her name is Lola Nomada Vasquez. And so I built this entire world around her. And it started out as like a comic book, or what I referred to as a geographic novel, because it really follows the map.
I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it follows the map of her life from a young hitchhiking kid who's during the Dust Bowl era gets kicked out of her home and makes her way out to California and lies her way across the country, telling these crazy stories that sort of ingratiate her to the world. And then she becomes a TV writer, but all her characters are the songs in Mother Road. And so, long story short, I'm talking about what it's going to become, because I actually feel like with the film and TV world imploding, the music world already imploded a long time ago. We worked that out a while ago. You know, we've been in
music always comes first. That's right.
We've been in the. That's right. We're always the red shirt that they send out. You know, that gets
The canary in a coal mine.
That's it. And
Yeah.
so because of that, I really want to. I think the film and TV industry needs me, is what I'm saying. No, I miss the days when music and TV and film played better together. Like, why the fuck don't people make movies around albums anymore? You know, you had Magnolia, you have Shaft, you have Harold and Maude, you have the Graduate. There's so many incredible soundtrack-driven movies. Even I think about Ghostbusters. They wrote a fucking theme song for the movie that's in the movie. I really miss that. You know, The Big Chill. There's all these movies where I remember growing up with these original motion picture soundtracks in my life and in my parents' music catalog. And so I decided that Mother Road would be an original motion picture soundtrack to an invisible movie until it becomes visible. I just need $60 million. Can you help me out?
That's cheap. You kidding?
You see what I got over
that
here?
in my pants. I got it in my slacks here.
No, but I'm looking at directors right now. I'm looking at directors, and I'm looking into whether it's going to be a series or a film. There's a bunch of possibilities.
You know, you were talking about this body of work for an imaginary film, and is it a film or is it a series? What's happening on Broadway now is all about turning movies into Broadway plays. Thank you, Disney.
I know.
Basically taking over Broadway.
Yeah.
But there's more than that. You know, the Tina Turner musical and Michael Jackson and so on.
I know. And, you know, Sarah Bareilles did that gorgeous Waitress. And
it was great.
Anais Mitchell with Hadestown. Like, there's just so many amazing things that can come of it.
So that's in the back of your mind somewhere.
Absolutely. It was one of the first things when I got an agent. I officially have an agent now for my acting and my writing and my IP. And they were like, Broadway, right? And I was like, oh, really? Broadway? First thought? Okay. Sure. But I think it really is that I am a live musician. I have made my entire life about taking my ass and all my gear from one fucking place to another, right? That's been a long time coming, where I didn't know any other way to do it. So for me to then take my ass and get it to another stage to tell my story, I'm like, okay, fine. Find some younger looking Grace Potter person, because I can't do it. I'll do it when I'm Bruce and David Byrne's age, like when I can do that as my retrospective.
But you don't have to do it. I mean, you don't have to. You can write it. You can
write
but
it.
You know that I will, though. I have to be there. I have to be in it. Like, I gotta get my claws in there. Lola Nomada Vasquez has many stories to tell. You know,
wow.
Yeah.
Many experiences await you. You're talking
Yes.
the difficulty
Yes.
of getting this project anywhere is insane, whether you get a film or a series. And then if I'm sure you must know people who have attempted to get a piece of work on Broadway
Mhm.
Oh my God. It's a nightmare.
That's the thing, is I think that that's what would work the best, is because I am one of the greatest live performers in the world. I really am. I think I hate to be
And
that
humble
person, but
too, which is what
yeah,
we love
humble.
about
No,
you.
you
No,
got
not
to believe
humble.
that. If you're getting up there, you got to believe that. I have no problem with that.
I am. I truly am.
100%.
And I think that's what would sell it as a Broadway show.
Right.
Because if
Mhm.
I was going to show up and reliably do what I do,
Bring what you bring. Yeah.
yes. I mean, Little Richard, it's like no one could do what he did. And if he had a Broadway musical, nobody else could play Little Richard. This movie / story project, there's a specific reason why my name is not in it. I am not a character in it, so that I can hand it off to others to embody these characters and tell the story themselves. Because I'll probably be dead by the time I can get this shit together. But the coolest part about having a big vision and being a world builder is that I don't have to live in it. I can go away and it can keep going, like the fucking DC Comics and Marvel universe. But with Broadway, I think it would be really fun to be there. And so it would probably be a slightly different show with my name in it somehow.
I'm going to spend the rest of the day thinking about Little Richard's Broadway musical.
Oh my God, how good would that?
before we let you out of here, we got to do a quick.
Yes.
We got a quick lightning round. We got a couple of questions just to get the off the dome answers here.
I love Off the Dome, Off the Sphere, because I'm here at Vegas playing the
Oh,
Sphere.
right,
So we're gonna call it off the Sphere.
Off the
Yes.
Sphere. All right. Here we go. First one. What was your first portable music device?
Tape deck, Roland. I think Roland. Tape
Portable?
deck. Yeah, I mean, when I say portable, it was like twice the size of this, with the tape cassette player that goes into it. And it had a speaker, and you could record it. So that's portable. It's not like a CD man Walkman.
Yep.
It was
Right.
but it had a handle. That's
Oh.
portable.
That's
Yeah,
portable.
it's like a Star
The
Trek. It
handle makes
looked
it
like
portable.
one of those
Box.
Star Trek tricorder things, you know? Yeah.
All right. Question number 2. Which concert do you remember the most? Good, bad, or otherwise? Biggest impression from a live show?
Bonnie Raitt with Bruce Hornsby opening up for her. Bonnie Raitt, Bruce Hornsby, Sugarbush Ski Area. I was 9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah,
9 years old? There it is.
9 years old. She had shoulder pads out to here. And I just remember watching that show and being like, I should get up there and sing backup right now. Yes.
Was that a moment for you? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
I wanted to be there. I wanted to be on that stage. Yeah.
Wow.
That's why it's such a deep memory for me.
All right, final question. This is like you've never been asked this before. Who is your biggest influence?
Tina Turner. Yeah. Tina Turner.
On stage or everything?
Everything. Her soul, everything about her. When she passed away, I'm going to cry. I never got to meet her, but something about her is when she died, I didn't know the news. I just woke up feeling really strange. And my band was in Vermont rehearsing with me, and we were filming a bunch of music video content, sort of like around the Mother Road release. But I woke up feeling this like supercharged, but very calm and centered, like, you know what you need to do, Grace. And I didn't hear a voice. I didn't see her face in the mirror, nothing like that. But I just felt this like deep well of strength. And I don't think it's all of her strength. I think it's a tiny speck of the stardust, but she just somehow took a slingshot and just put it my way. And I've never been the same since. I mean, she lives in me, and I'm really grateful to whatever universe brought her in and let her out with peace. And there's some kind of a torch passing that happened that day, and
Love that.
I've carried it with me ever since, and I'll never stop.
Grace Potter, the new / historic album Medicine is out for your listening pleasure. Thank you so much, Grace.
Always
for
the
joining
best,
us
Grace.
today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
You guys, the best.
Welcome back to Sound Up. As always, we love hearing from you. Connect at SoundUpPod is how you can reach us via audio message and email.
And we received this question, thought, idea, notion, not sure, from Pod Squad member Scott, something that involves 2 mega pop stars. Scott.
Hello, Sound Up. This is Scott, poolside in Houston. I know it's not a call-in show, and I realize it can be hard to squeeze in listener comments and reviews, but here's a quandary for the panel. Now that Benson Boone is primed to be the next Freddie Mercury and is about to officially be the biggest pop star on the planet when his new album American Heart drops on June 20th, what are we supposed to do with Harry Styles? When it comes to the jumpsuit, Benson is already wearing it better. And if he takes the King of Pop crown, does Mr. Styles become forgotten royalty like the other Harry? Anyway, discuss amongst yourselves. Oh, and check out the new album, Stagger, that was just released from Melbourne garage rock trio, The Grogans. It's one of my favorite albums of 2025. There isn't a bad track on it. Until next time, I'm listening.
He has like a signature sign off and everything. Well
I know.
done,
He's a formal official correspondent, poolside in Houston.
Poolside, exactly. He's the best. I hadn't heard of the Grogans.
I hadn't heard of the Grogans. No, that's.
I'll check it out.
I don't. Do you see Harry Styles and Benson? I don't see them in the same lane in that way.
I don't.
First of all, I think Harry is sufficiently established at this point. Not that he's untouchable. You can still fall off.
Yeah.
But I think if you're one album in, somebody can elbow you out of the way. I do not think at this point that he's vulnerable to, oh, there's a new flavor in town. And
yeah,
I sort of get what Scott is talking about, but I think he said Benson Boone and Freddie Mercury. It's the theatricality. It's the over the top. It's the big voice. It's the big emotion. I mean, Harry's got a rock star vibe thing going, but I don't see it as that there isn't space where that's got to go one way or the other. I also need to be convinced, Benson had one big ass song.
Yeah. So far.
Let's see what happens with the album out there if it's really there. He's headlining the Garden. Like, what am I supposed to say? It happened fast, and I guess there was TV singing competition prior, and all of that. But if I'm Harry Styles, I'm not staying up at night worrying about that.
For sure. All right. New music. That's what we should do now, right?
That's what we should do now.
All right. Let's do that. I'll kick it off. I got a couple of new music picks this week. First up is a song called Dear Maria. Joy Oladokun. Her album May is out now. It's been out since May. This song, Dear Maria, she wrote after her fourth viewing of Sinners. I don't know if you've seen Sinners. It's a massive hit. I know a lot of people have.
Fantastic movie.
Fantastic, and a lot of subtext going on. She says she was sitting on her back porch, processing how much change and even disappointment over the last 6 months she had undergone and triumphed over. She says that her songs are often a way to start a conversation. She is looking to us as she writes and plays these songs live and looking for a little back and forth. Dear Maria, that is the latest from May, from Joy. And also, the Beaches have something new, a new one. No Hard Feelings is the album, and a song called Pick Up the Phone. They say it's a song about how tough it can be to navigate queer heartbreak. The band talking about this new single. And there's so many layers: the pressure to stay friends with your ex, the complications of open relationships, dating girls who have boyfriends. It touches on what it's like to come out later in life and how overwhelming it can all feel. So that in honor of Pride Month, new from Beaches.
Nice. Before I give my two picks, I wasn't even going to bring it up, but on the heels of talking about Benson Boone and Harry Styles, just to nod to the pop side, I kind of spent much of the weekend fixated on this Addison Rae album. I haven't made up my mind in any way about it, but I'm really just kind of obsessed with the phenomenon. And is she going to be the first TikTok star to actually become a pop star? Nobody's navigated that transition effectively. I think the record's pretty interesting. I want to spend more time before I really have an opinion on it. I keep having this idea in my head, and then I'll get off of this. But I'm keeping this idea in my head. If Madonna emerged in 2025, isn't this exactly what it would look like?
100%.
Now, does that mean Addison Rae is going to be able to sustain a 40-year career? I'm not prepared to say that, but there's an interesting thing going on there, and I think some interesting things in the music. So curious if people have thoughts about watching the Addison Rae thing happen. And even if I could see this being a monstrously huge album or not.
Right. Well, I think it is sort of a way that people can weigh in on TikTok. I feel like, and I'm probably just because I'm old, somebody who breaks from TikTok, to me, already, I think, has a harder bar to get over.
But isn't that what people would have said from somebody who broke from MTV?
Yes, and I agree with you. I'm sort of back and forth on it as well, except that MTV, you got 3.5 minutes. Here you got whatever you got, 30 seconds or 45 seconds. And it just feels like the whole nature of it feels fleeting. So it just seems like it comes in without so much firepower. And that's just a strictly emotional response.
If you have thoughts, I'm curious about them. But anyway, not my new music pick, just my new music fixation of the week. The 2 songs I'm going to put out for you guys, I've talked about being a fan of Clairo, and her most recent album was produced by a guy named Leon Michaels, who's affiliated with the Dap Kings organization, and he has an album coming out under the name The L. Michaels Affair with different vocalists participating, but the first single is called Anticipate, which does feature Clairo. That just came out and I think is a really lovely, it sounds much like the songs on the Clairo album because he produced that and this is her singing with him, but it's got a sort of Laura Nyro, Carole King, like a little bit sort of jazzy, vibey, singer-songwritery feel to it that I think is just really nice and you don't hear a lot of. It's not like retro throwbacky, but unlike a lot of the young singer-songwritery girls right now, this is pulling from a little bit of a different place, and I think has a really nice feel to it. So it's listed as the L. Michaels Affair with or featuring Clairo, I'm not sure, and Anticipate is the song. And my second comes from Molly Tuttle, a big change of direction for her. If people know Molly Tuttle, it is as a bluegrass musician. She, with her band Golden Highway, won, I think, the last 2 years worth of Grammys in the bluegrass category. She was nominated for Best New Artist a couple of years ago and is a sort of virtuoso flat pick guitar player, plays some banjo, but, playing acoustic stringed instruments. But it was announced that her new album, she's either dissolved or on hiatus from the group from Golden Highway. And this is not a bluegrass project. And the first song came out from this, version 2.0 Molly Tuttle. The song is called That's Gonna Leave a Mark. And it doesn't sound like an Addison Rae song. And it's not her doing a electro hyper pop song, but it's very sort of 90s Lilith Fair sound to it. Like it would sit with a Jewel record or a Sarah McLachlan record or something like that. The arrangement is different, but you still certainly hear her guitar playing within it. It's not as radical a departure. It's certainly not a bluegrass song, but at least for this song, you can feel the connection to where she's been with her work before and is an interesting new step. She's coming through and playing in a couple of weeks, and I'm really interested to go see what this new chapter for her feels like. She's an extraordinary player, but this is definitely a different lane for her. And so Molly Tuttle is my other select for the week.
All right. So we've set you on the path. You've got our new music picks. Remember, if you want to hear all the music that we talk about here, you simply search our Sound Up soundtrack playlist on Spotify. Don't forget the exclamation point when you do the search. Or the easiest thing, maybe just go to sounduppod.com and click the Spotify link.
And remember to give us a 5-star review, like our Facebook page. Make sure to check in with us on socials at all of it. sounduppod.com. Again, email connect@sounduppod.com. Let us know your thoughts, anything we're talking about, anything you're talking about, or responding to questions and stuff we post on the socials.
That's what we're looking for. All right. That is going to wrap it up for this edition of Sound Up. We thank you for downloading and listening.
Sound Up is hosted by Mark Goodman and Alan Light, produced by Roger That Media, distributed by Revolver Podcasts. Theme music by Smile from Tokyo. For more information, go to sounduppod.com.